Preparing to stream to YouTube. And what I'll do is I'll share that link to Facebook, and then that'll be the link, and it'll be recording live from there.
No worries. I don't see you on camera yet.
You don't see me in front of you?
Yeah, not on. I see your picture.
Okay, it may take a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me see here. There is we are live on YouTube, but I will post that link here. Hold on one second. Okay. So it is, I just posted the link there that you can share on my Facebook page, Ian.
Yeah, I see it. I see it on your Facebook page.
Okay. So you just still don't see me? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I don't see you. I see the
Okay.
video on, right?
We'll get that straight here momentarily. Give me one moment.
Now I see.
Now you see me. So we should be good to go. Should be good to go there. I'll just check the link online and we should be good to start. My phone. All right, ladies and gentlemen on Facebook, thank you for your patience.
Oh, hold on.
Having an issue on your end?
Now I can't hear you.
Okay. Can't hear me? Can you still not hear me?
Say something, Herb.
Microphone check, 1, 2.
Yeah, there we go. All right.
There we go. All right. So we should be good. We should be good. You can hear me. I can hear you. The link is posted live. How's it going over there?
You know, it's good, man. Can't complain. Fort Lauderdale.
Right.
Presentation technically, but hey,
Okay.
you know, we're in Florida, right? It looks like your background. You're in San Francisco.
In San Francisco in the background right now. We living vicariously through the backgrounds.
Yeah.
With this COVID.
That's a funny thing because that's my background when I'm typically on Zoom. I took off my background right now. You can see my doors and stuff.
Right. Well, you're hard at work. You're definitely hard at work. So for those who are just tuning in again, today we're welcoming the founder and CEO of Own Outdoors, and it's a great thing because now we're actually able to go outdoors and feel a little bit safer with the COVID shots and the vaccines being on the uptake. And it's summertime. Plenty of things you want to do right in time for the summer. We can go outdoors and have some great events. So glad that you could be with us and tell us a little bit about your story and how you started this company. So you're located in South Florida, correct?
Yeah, South Florida. So I didn't always start off in South Florida, but so, I grew up in Trinidad and Tobago. So funny story.
Right.
I was born in Nebraska, right? I know I look like I was born in Nebraska. Went back to Trinidad when I was 1 year old.
Okay.
Spent about nine to 10 years there, and then moved to Tallahassee, Florida, when I was around 10. And then after college there, I moved down to South Florida. I got a good job. A fellow you know about, Ryan Singh,
Right.
college buddy, always wanted to get me down here so we could, hang out and continue our college days as long as we could.
I tell you. So
those ended soon, though. Those ended very soon.
It's funny how that works. So I want to dive because I've honestly, and people don't know this, but it's good to have friendships that last a lifetime. I've known Ian for over 20 years, and there's been a lot of job changes and a lot of changes that he's had in his life. As you heard, I didn't know you actually were in Nebraska before you went back to Trinidad, actually.
Yeah, I don't mention it all the time because it's
right.
It's significant in a way, but it's insignificant since I didn't really spend any time there.
Sure.
That's where my parents went to school.
Okay.
Got my, citizenship, and then but then it didn't really sink in. I don't remember it much, so.
Gotcha. So for the guests who don't know you, obviously Trinidad is a totally different environment than to come back here to the U.S. and start your own company. I want to dive into a little bit of your upbringing because a lot of people don't have the opportunity, especially right now, to travel outside of the country. What was Trinidad like growing up as a child?
Yeah, no, great question. I mean, it's it's a third world country, right? It's an island. It's a third world country. We don't have all the perks and we don't have all the amenities that they do in the U.S. Look, I grew up, I wouldn't say on the streets, but I would say, less than par. Say that, we played soccer and football, we call it, in the streets without shoes, right?
Okay.
We played same way. We played cricket in the streets without shoes, and we didn't have cleats, and then this is all my kind of sports spiel, right? It's
Right.
totally different way of living down there. We didn't have air conditioning, right? So these things we take for granted. So moving up here, US, and having all these amenities, I was just like, wow, right? But it gave me the opportunity to see how things could be vastly different from where I grew up, and be given the opportunity to have better things, make a better life, try to, make things happen, improve my parents' situation,
right,
their lifestyle, so that transition, and it's a culture shock, right? A funny story. When I first moved up here and I went to elementary school, elementary school in Trinidad, you took your books home and your book bag home. Because you would study or you would have homework or something that you needed to do at home. When I moved up here in elementary school, I did the same thing. First day of class, I took all my books home, and everybody was kind of looking at me weird, like,
right,
taking his books home, And then, so
That's what they should be doing.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm supposed to leave my books here, so that was kind of funny. And so there's just little things like that just kind of, culture shock. You kind of figure things out as you go, and then you kind of eventually slip in, right? So, but yeah, and in the transition from obviously I'm a different culture, I have a different accent.
Right.
There, people was like, what is he saying? Or, things like that. And so it's a huge culture shock. You adapt, and that's, I think, that lesson alone kind of carries through your life, right?
Right.
To adapt, deal with adversity, deal with different things. And, so I think that kind of plays into, even with the upbringing of the sports and so forth, right? The same kind of thing. I was like, what's this? Why are we throwing the baseball, or why is it not bouncing before it gets to the batter? Like cricket, the ball bounces. And
so predominantly y'all were playing cricket in Trinidad. Is that the more popular sport, or is it more like football?
Yeah, I mean, it's cricket and basically football, which is soccer. So
right, which is soccer. Okay.
Those are the main things.
Gotcha. So fast forward to when you came over here. Obviously, you have certain people who helped navigate your path to the point that where you got today. You looked up to somebody. You had some mentors coming along. So in grade school, so we're talking about elementary, middle, and getting towards high school. What were some of the mentors that you had and lessons that you learned from them to kind of make that adjustment coming from a different country?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I didn't really have many mentors per se, right? I had certain coaches, and they could be considered mentors, right? I guess. So I had coaches that would, teach me how to do certain things. They would teach, those are certain principles you learn on the ball field that carry over. There's teachers, right? Obviously, the teachers that I had,
sure,
you learn things through them. But really, I think I looked to my parents, my brother, as the main mentors, to get me through it, right? Because they're older. My parents lived in Nebraska for a bit, so they kind of understand it.
Right.
And, those were kind of, so from a mentor perspective, any official mentors, not really. I think most of my learnings were, kind of through books, self-taught, through books, how I like to approach things and problems is, I'll take the real estate example, right? Out of college, I bought my first rental property with 69 cents, right? I like that story because...
Now, how you got to tell that story, because how in the world you do that with 69 cents?
Yeah, well, it was shocking to me too when I came to closing and like, oh yeah, you own 69 cents, right? Basically, when I went to work, and this kind of ties into the mentor question, right? I look up to people that give me advice who are older than me, right? The job out of college, I had a guy tell me, he's like, Ian, you know what? A lot of college folks and college kids, they want to buy a brand new car, nice car, as soon as they get their first job.
Sure.
Like, if there's anything I tell you, I said, think about buying a house instead of a car, right? At heart, he was older. He had a good head on his shoulders, and he said, so next day or two, I made it every day at lunch or at my lunch break. I would go to the bookstore. I would take one of the best real estate books that I could find, understand it thoroughly, read it, and then apply those principles as best as I could. And that's when the whole 69 cents to closing is really, I got a loan and then I got another loan on top of that to be able to cover my closing costs.
Oh, okay.
So, but the key point here, I think, is it's the principle of using other people's money, right?
Okay.
If you don't have it, and there's a couple schools of thought. You could have the money cash or whatever,
Right.
You could finance, right? So I think you just got to make do with what you have and the options that you're given to your best ability, right? So your mentor question, again, more through books, more through family, more through coaches and teachers.
Right. And I think that's interesting because, you took a piece of advice, something that's very small, and you applied a sense of urgency to it. And so often we hear things that are valuable pieces of information. And because you don't usually pay for a brand new car cash if you just got a new job, you have to, and that's a loan. That's exactly what that is. And, if we would have took that advice or even gotten that type of advice as a child, hey, instead of buying a car that looks good, but you don't really have equity, as soon as you drive it off the lot, it starts to depreciate. Whereas with a property or a house, it's not something that's going to depreciate. Most of the time, it's going to appreciate over time. Just something that valuable, and you actually having a sense of urgency is something that you started early and continued as you got older by knowing you. So let's fast forward to your high school experience, because we talked a little bit about college, but I want people to know the foundation of how you got to owning your own company and things of that nature. Obviously, you went to school, but you had some bumps along the way and some adjustments that you had to make in high school. So talk about that high school experience and how that kind of affected you going towards college.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah. So through high school, honestly, I was still adapting from the culture, right? I'm still adapting. So I landed here in middle school, just right before middle school, elementary, all middle school, and then you hit high school. I've kind of molded in, but I'm still adapting.
Sure.
And I got into some trouble, right? So I got into just kind of normal boy trouble, right?
Right.
Things, and I think what that taught me was that I'm almost kind of glad it happened at that point in my
early
life.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes things that happen earlier, you can adjust quicker and recoup and recover once that's behind you earlier in life. That's
right.
Kind of my thought on it, right? Because I wouldn't want to get kicked out of college or something like that, right? Yeah, you shouldn't get kicked out of anywhere, but
no, I mean, it happens because it's one of those things like juvenile. Not that you're not a juvenile offender, but what I'm saying is there's reasons why before 18 people give you that grace period. They let you know it's like, look, we know you don't have a fully formed brain. You're still trying to figure out. You're still trying to adapt. And for you, that's a larger adaptation from all those different places that you actually had to live. I think the government, society recognizes that we're just trying to find our way from 0 to 17, 0 to 18, where we fit in society and how to be successful in society, which some people still never figure out.
Yeah. So good story there. Ended up graduating honors. I played for the high school varsity team. I recruited to play college ball, but I didn't because I know I'm Indian and.
What's that mean? You don't see too many Indian major leaguers? Is that what that is?
you know.
I'm just saying, you could have been breaking the mold, man. You know what I'm saying?
You don't see any Indian MLB or NFL, or you might see we got Vijay Singh playing golf.
Yeah, I've seen it in golf. That's the place I've seen it the most. But here again, after playing sports in college myself, I tell people, especially young people, it's better to bet on your brain than your body, because your brain, you're always going to have to use that. So, these little it's funny how you have these little mile markers. You're making decisions that are pivotal, but you're actually seeking advice and using your brain instead of doing what just someone else is doing who you see, but don't necessarily understand the path yourself, per se. And that's what a lot of people who are young do. They just do what everybody else is doing. And it's obvious that you weren't doing that once you started to get into your own rhythm, which is important. So obviously, went through some things in high school, have started to adapt and excel in different things, graduate from college, start going into real estate. And then now I want to talk a little bit about the corporate America journey, because I see a lot of people trying to skip steps. And when I say skip steps, I'll give you an example. I got a job that I don't like, and without having a business plan, without having a good team in place, I jump out here and go get a PPP loan and then try to start my own business. And it's horrible for a lot of people because they don't know what they're doing. You actually had a lot of experience in corporate America before you took the business jump in terms of starting your own business and all of that. So let's walk us through. Could you walk us through that particular journey about how you got to that point to where you were actually able to do better and bigger things?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I think I'm probably like Mark Cuban in terms of how he thinks people should go to school. I think school sets a unique foundation, and school, I mean college, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even from a social interaction, from just connecting with people, right? Mm-hmm. I'll use this connection on how I got the job in South Florida, right? So in college, we met certain people, we made friends. Ryan was one of them. Ryan lived in South Florida. So after college, I got a degree in management information systems, basically computers, database stuff. So that was, and to be honest, I chose that degree based on, kind of what was hot. And you're still young, you're still in college, you're still trying to find yourself. Some people that go to college know exactly what they want to do.
Right.
People don't, and they're just trying to find themselves. They're trying to find what they like.
Right.
Even after college, people are trying to find what they like, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I'll tie that back to where I'm going with this. But so I did that, and I got a IT job out of college in Tallahassee. It was a good one. Some foundations that you learn about just basic stuff, right? And then, so the connection back to college was me keeping in touch with Ryan, my college buddy.
Right.
He said, "Hey, why don't you come down? We need some IT folks down in South Florida."
Right.
Like, yeah, sure. Here's my resume. Pops the resume and referral. I'm flying down to Fort Lauderdale for an interview.
Wow.
After the interview, they said, "You're hired." Boom. I'm back in my Tallahassee house with my parents, like jumping for joy, right?
Right.
And that also opened my eyes from small town Tallahassee going to Fort Lauderdale. It's almost the same jump as Trinidad to the US, right?
Okay.
So you went from small town to big town, all these lights and things that are flashing in front of you.
Right.
See cars and you're like, what is it? So, so, and then that job was actually working for PricewaterhouseCoopers, one of the big accounting firms, right? They call it the Big Four back in the day, where, you had Deloitte, and so they hire the sharpest, best, and bright people. And that's not me. I'm not the sharpest, best.
Hey, they hired you. They hired you for a reason, right?
Yeah. So but where I'm going with this is like, I kind of know where I stand, even with the baseball thing, right? I know I'm not going to be the 6'5" dude that's like Randy Johnson thrown on the mound. So apply the same thing here. Not the best, brightest that they recruit. Now, I know I work hard and I know I like certain things, but so corporate America there, they really test your kind of your durability, how can you persevere, AKA burnout, right? They'll burn you out. So
response to adversity.
Right. That was kind of like the biggest where in certain, it was a lot of politics. You hear this politics, but what does that really mean? It's really, who's doing who for what, or, who's, what they call kissing butt, even though I may put out the best work product,
right,
be the most qualified, you have somebody else that's just kind of, buying the manager lunch or, whatever they do to kiss up.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I learned that quickly, right? There are certain people getting promoted ahead of me, so that left a sour taste in my mouth.
Absolutely.
I knew I didn't want to burn myself out either to be this, big partner or big shot in corporate America. It just wasn't me. You know me, I'm more of a laid back dude. I like to go fishing. I like to go outdoors. I like camping, hiking, all this stuff, right? So, then I had a few other corporate jobs, but to your question, those things that I learned, those social interactions, how to do finance, how to do accounting, what are the best practices to do, all the tools, the different things you learn, and then being able to pull all that out and then be able to start your business. That's a huge head start than somebody just, they're naturally smart people that can come out and do this stuff,
right.
Most the average Joe out there is not going to be able to just kind of start their own business out of high school, depending on what kind of business it is, right?
Right. If it's lawn care, maybe, but if it's an online app or you have employees and payroll and accounts deductible, you might need some additional training to do that.
Right, exactly. So all those, to your point, that those foundations that were built helped me understand what needs to be done. And the other key factor is project management. I'm not going to talk much about this, but what project management does is you understand all the key pieces that you need to pull together efficiently, effectively, cost effectively to make something happen. And really, when I learned that skill set, I said, wait, I'm busting my butt here 60 hours a week. I'm getting great praise from, my managers and everything that we're doing, I'm doing great and blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Right.
Why don't I just take that same energy and apply it to what I love to do?
Right.
Say what you need time to think, right? And one piece of the puzzle to me was I got to figure out what I love to do.
Sure.
And everybody hears this, right? But I think the second thing is you got to figure out what you're good at, because when you put those two together, that's going to make you wake up in the morning and get you driving and get you motivated more than that person that could be smarter than you, right? So when you put those two together and you figure out what you're good at, I think you have a better shot of being more entrepreneurial and being able to pull something together.
Right.
Even all that though, it's super hard. Look, Own Outdoors, which if you want me chat a little bit about now.
Yeah, and I think we're building up a good foundation to understanding what Own Outdoors is. And it's just, as we talk, I kind of like to unpack the journey to Own Outdoors, because I knew you before you started Own Outdoors. And what it reminds me of is the conversations that we had, because you can't tell your goals and your dreams to everybody, because they may try to say something negative, they may try to tear them down. talk about obstacles, but not talk about solutions. And, you know, this is a long journey you had to go through before you started the company. So I find it interesting. And for people who may want to utilize your services, I think it's valuable for them to understand the journey as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So I did just that. I pulled what I'm good at, IT, project management, and what I love, right? Outdoors, fishing, camping, hiking, whitewater rafting, you name it, right? It's all. So I needed, and I think the other part to it is, so Own Outdoors is very entrepreneurial. It's a new, look, I started a piece of it in 2015. So if you know Airbnb experiences, if you know TripAdvisor has their tours and experiences all up there. We started it before TripAdvisor, Airbnb, and these guys had any of that up there, right?
Right.
What we knew is that they were going to catch up, and they were going to catch on, and they were going to do the same thing.
Right.
So we were ready to pivot. And that's what we did. We said, okay, we wanted to, we have something here. We just didn't know what it was, right? We know we have something that's useful. We've built something that's very new to the market. And as you keep digging, as you keep peeling back the onion, when it's something you love, you'll find that sort of kind of golden nugget you need to progress your business or take the right step into making something happen, right?
Right.
And I think that's what we did when we made a B2B, so business to business move with offering what we call a digital concierge. So just so everybody knows, Own Outdoors is like a marketplace of all tours, activities, trips, and so forth that, you know, anybody can go out there and book. You do want to do the instant book ones so you don't have to deal with calling people and stuff. But we have quite a few activities that are bookable or instantly bookable, right?
So tell the people about some of the activities they could book by visiting the website.
Gotcha. Yeah. So anything like down here in Fort Lauderdale, we have water taxi, the Miami Zoo. We have the airboat rides, you know, the Sawgrass. If you're going there, check out the alligators. On the West Coast, over by you, John's Pass. I think we have the Alligator Wildlife Discovery Center. We have the pirate boat tours. We have Tampa Bay Speedboat Adventures.
Right.
We have actually a couple of good food tours in, was it Ybor City, I think? Yeah, Ybor City.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then we have stuff in Miami, Key West, kind of all over Florida. We're going to build it throughout the U.S. And we have a lot of stuff in Hawaii and so forth.
Gotcha. So for people who are, and this is what I've learned, because I went this past weekend and I visited with a friend, and she kind of does her homework before she does different activities. And just by talking to her, I realized that there's a lot of fun activities outdoors that me as a person, I wouldn't think of unless I went somewhere to look at what was to do in those particular areas. So for example, like the food tour that you were talking about in Ybor. Ybor is 30 minutes away from me. I don't even know anything about food tours. That's not something that would come out of my brain, but it seems like it'd be something to be fun to do, because it's not something you would do on a regular basis. So that's one service that your website provides, just an outside party that lets you think outside of your own brain to go out and do something different.
Yeah. And also, so we give cash back. Anything that you book instantly with that instant book filter, that we track it, and we give you 10% cash back. So there's also no other company or no other website that does that. So if you think of a Bank of America where you get cash back, you think of the gas station.
1%.
Yeah, 1%. we're giving 10% back. So if you book a $600 or $1,200 fishing charter, that's significant dollars, right? I don't have to do the math for you, but
Right.
and then if you refer a friend, and by the way, so a lot of times you're doing family trips, so it could be hundreds of dollars. You know, if you're doing a huge family trip, could be thousands. So you're getting a good chunk of change back every time you do a, you know, an activity. So
Right.
So yeah, that's so kind of that we also applied to hotels, right? So this was the business move and pivot that we did. So we deal with, you know, Hiltons and Marriott's across Florida as their digital concierge. So if you think about the same way, obviously when you go on vacation, you're looking for stuff to do. You may have planned it already.
Right.
You may want to do something on the fly. And that's when you know, I think all of us has walked up to the front desk or the concierge, say, hey, what's there to do around here?
Right.
That's when that concierge or that front desk flashes Own Outdoors.
Right.
Says, hey, you know, these are the best things to do in the area.
Right.
Scan this QR code, and you're off. You know, book your tickets through us, because the hotel, especially on in your town, they a special price. So you won't be able to find that price anywhere else except the hotel.
Okay.
So everyone wins, right? So Herb gets the ticket as the cheapest price. You won't be able to find on the internet.
Right.
The hotel gets 10% back also, so they get part of our revenue.
Right.
You know, a small part. And then everybody's happy. Everybody wins. So
yeah,
that's sort of the digital concierge. And then we're going to wrap restaurants and all kinds of different services on this thing. So, you know, it's really, hotels are loving it. We have 4-star hotels that are, you know, you know, loving the service. So we hope to just keep expanding.
Absolutely. So if you know someone who owns a business and wants to be listed possibly with Own Outdoors because you provide one of those services, are you taking on new clients in forms of independent business as well at this time?
Yeah. So let's say if Herb, you wanted to start up your food tours at Ybor, like, hey, or maybe you wanted a bar crawl tour or something. You can pop your profile up on Own Outdoors and you can start doing your business tomorrow, right? You can say, I want to schedule, here's my availability. I'm only available, you know, weekends. You lock that out on your calendar. And then if anybody is looking to book, or you would give them your link
availability,
they would book it, and then you would have that's your online booking system. So
okay.
Yeah.
So
and you know, there's other there's some folks that use it for, you know, their business. So
cool. So Own Outdoors, we know what they're doing right now. Obviously, I want people to know how to get there. So, Ian, just make sure I'm saying this correct. It's www.ownoutdoors.com. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, just type in ownoutdoors.com in the URL and you're good.
Okay.
So it's simple as that, all one word, right? And you're good to go. And just make sure they filter on any instant book. There's a little note that'll pop up, you know, make sure and filter on the instant book activities, because those are the ones you get cash back on.
Gotcha. So instant book, instant cash back. That's the way people need to process that. I wanted to ask you a couple more questions before I go, because I know you're busy and I tried to hold you till around close to an hour. Because with Transvision Talks, we try to provide information and inspiration. Obviously, coming from the background that you came from, developing a skill set that you have kind of made into your own way of living for yourself, and being brave enough to actually challenge yourself to do something for you that will help yourself and others. I think, more than ever, we see what being cooped up in the house does to a person psychologically. You may, spend more time with your family talking, but after a certain point, you kind of want to throw rocks at them. So it's important to go outdoors. And this is where I want to tie in the inspirational part. Obviously, you didn't go to school to open your own business. So it is possible, but you do have to put in the work. You do have to put in the grind. If you had two pieces of advice to someone who was thinking of going into business for themselves in anything, what would those two pieces of advice be?
I would say learn from others as much as you can first. Whether it's through books or through, and I would say it's both, right? It's through your own learning and also understanding what other people has been through, right?
Right.
Because look, every entrepreneur, every businessman has made mistakes.
Sure.
Those are written. Those are there for your consumption. Use it to your advantage. Lay it out. I'm big on data and facts and decisions, right? Take your time. This kind of goes with that, but take your time with decisions. Make sure it's well thought out, because I think you'll be rewarded in the long run. Make sure you understand ROI, right? Return on investment. What are you going to put into this? How much money you're going to put in? How much time you're going to put in? Thoroughly understand that before you go down that road.
Right.
You know your point A to point B, right? Now, what's the shit that you got to go through? And is it a lot of shit, or is it little shit, or right? It's like,
yeah, or is it too much?
Or is it too much? Right.
Right.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I made a few points. I know you said two, but there's.
Oh no, you're good. Those are. It's an umbrella. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Prioritization to me is key, right? Look, I wear many hats. One day I'm digging in data, the next day I'm running sales calls or whatever it is, right? I think you have to prioritize effectively. And it also ties into what I said before. Once you understand your ROI and the things that need to be done, the prioritization piece kicks in. It's like, where's my time and effort going to go to now? What are my priorities based on my strategy, based on my goals, right?
Right.
And that's not learned overnight. That's something that's just, you got to work at, and you got to, figure out. And one other thing I would like, I think I would say is, learning and thinking, having time to think, right? Sometimes you get caught up with just doing, right? And your head's down, but sometimes you just need to take a step back and think, what are some road bumps that you could potentially, some what if scenarios, right? What if this happens? What if that happens?
Right.
When you do that and you understand your risks and different things that can happen,
right,
and you know how to draw that line faster to point B, because you've mitigated those risks that could come up.
Yeah, no.
I great information there.
No, great information. And what I'll do is I'll probably chop some of that and repost it later, because, I'm a realist. Sometimes it takes a little while to get to those golden nuggets, but the more we talked, the better and more enriching the conversation became, which is just like anything else. If you play a sport, you got to warm up first. But the information you provided was, to me, I think, invaluable, especially for someone who looks at themselves as trying to open a business. I look at myself as I am my own business, because I got to pay taxes just like a business does. I got to pay myself. I got to separate how much money goes for what projects that I try to do, this particular project, other different projects. So a lot to reflect on. I appreciate you taking the time. Hopefully one of these days this year, now that COVID's been lifted, we can chill out and have a drink or something like that.
No, yeah, of course. Thanks. We've been talking about this for a while, and
yeah,
excited that we've been able to connect on it. Hey, and that picture, bro, that was that picture.
I was working for you over there a little bit.
Yeah, this that gray.
Yeah,
People on their toes.
It's a part of life, man. Hey, ain't no hair under here at all, man. They took it from me, but what did Mike Tyson say? Said life is about learning how to deal with loss. So if you can turn a loss into a gain, we lost some years, but we gained some knowledge.
There you go. That's it.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. You got no choice. Got no choice. But
yeah, man.
Great stuff, man. I appreciate you as always, and we'll be talking real soon. If you want to come up for that comedy show, obviously you're welcome. That's just something fun to do to kind of get out of the house, the end of the year comedy jam. But stay safe down there, man, and we'll be talking soon.
Yeah, for sure, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. This is your boy, Big Business Transition Talks. Signing out with Insol Own Outdoors. Check it out.
Yeah.